Hussein Shahbazi from Persian University. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Hussein Shahbazi from Persian University. Thank you so much for your presentation. I want to take you back again to the Iran and the issue that you mentioned that you personally, I think I heard you, that you don't believe that Iran is, seeking a nuclear weapon because of the, all the.
I didn't say that.
Well, I interpreted that perhaps. I think you mentioned something that I can't recall it, but anyway, my understanding was that based on. Well, let's assume that Iran is not seeking nuclear weapon itself, and and perhaps wants to go to the level of having the capability and the breakout. Now the question is that if this has been raised in various avenues, media. Now my question is that, and it's how that could be seriously taken by people in the administrations. I know that the administration's official policy is that we are not going to accept such a nuclear Iran. But I want to ask you, because of your specialty and your knowledge, do you think or do you know of people in the administration that may be thinking of living with nuclear Iran, either with the capability or the actual weapon, having the actual weapon? And if that's so, how strong that position is the government?
Well, obviously I can't answer the question about the nature of U.S. government policy and who's thinking what where. I think one has to proceed on the basis of the expectation that Iran is going for the bomb. That has to be the fail-safe position. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But then what you have to say is, if you get faced with the unpleasant choice, as Mr. Sarkozy said, between living with a bomb and attacking Iran, and you say, all right, we'd rather live with it than attack it, but it's still got cost, why don't you try something else to see whether it is avoidable? The United States, in terms of countries looking at American credibility, and a lot of what's happening with Iraq and Afghanistan is about our credibility. It's still American credibility. We lost the war in Vietnam, but we didn't lose credibility because we were still containing the Soviet Union. What's happening now in the region of the Middle East, that's the big enchilada, and so our credibility is very much involved. The United States is on record. We will prevent Iran from getting the bomb. Secretary of State said it last year, this year. So did the Vice President, etc. So you have to start looking at what the alternatives might be in terms of trying to dissuade them. And I suggested that if you bring into play legitimate security interests, you might have something to work with. I don't know whether you do, whether you don't. You might be able to actually work with the Iranians on Iraq in the fullness of time. They can't be entirely happy with an Iraq that is pushing back all the time. Maybe there's something to be done there. I don't know. We are not in a position to explore it. You mentioned something else, which is, what if Iran gets to having a breakout capability? That is, what they call the Japanese option, the one screwdriver's turn. I hope the Iranians are not thinking that way, because for the outside world, that is a distinction without a difference. Certainly for the Israelis, I think for others. They need to think very carefully about it. And one thing I worry about is whether the Iranians have anybody in their elite with any experience in managing, of understanding how you manage nuclear weapons. They certainly can't have direct experience. Whether the Indians, I think the Indians probably did, they got a lot of smart strategies. I suspect the Pakistanis probably did. And certainly after they got the bomb, we were assiduous in making sure they had people who would understand these things. We're not certainly going to do that with the Iranians in advance. And I don't think we would. Maybe if they got the bomb, we would then try to get them to understand the consequences. But that's one thing. It's very important for the Iranians to understand they are playing with fire. Playing with fire. And as I've already said, I don't think they gain anything from having the bomb. And if there's some people there who may be able to understand that, let's try some things that might lead in a different direction, rather than the current approach, which in my judgment has 5 possible alternatives, 3 of which I don't think will work, and 2 I don't like very much.
Well, for those of you who have unanswered questions, you will just have to buy the book. We're selling it here.
Or download it. It's free.
Or download it. We're selling it here for $24. If people could please line up, and Mr. Hunter will remain at the podium. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Mr. Hunter, for a wonderful presentation.